Greetings, my champions of the light, and welcome back to another episode of Light Be With You. I believe it's finally time that we move ourselves on from Elwyn Forest and Dunmorrow, and today it's time that we gain some serious experience points. And my friends, you'll see that the light has truly blessed us today. Now my friends, in the last episode, as you know, I did quite a bit of smelting and quite a bit of alchemy. We begin with a measly 3 gold and 65 silver. However, after receiving all of our beautiful coin from the mailbox, waiting inside is a hefty sum of gold, and we now have over 10 gold to our name. Quite a bit of coin for a priest like me. We begin by taking the flight path from Stormont City, and the Griffin is happy to oblige and carries us safely towards Thelsamar. In Thelsamar, we meet up with Mountaineer Cadrell. In the last episode, we had brought him some Shimmer Stout. However, my friends, this time, he tasks me with doing battle with kobolds. He wants me to bring their ears to him as proof. This is quite a gruesome quest indeed, and before we begin, for your sakes and mine, I should probably remind us of our holy commandments. We must harm no creatures. We must sacrifice ourselves for others, doing everything within reason to save lives. And we must not beg for help or carries. So far, on our journeys, I have maintained my holy vows, and I don't plan to break them yet. Further north at the Algaz station, I meet up with Mountaineer Stormpike. He has a much more reasonable quest: collect some abandoned miner's gear. I head on over to the Silvershard mine, and what do you know, it's infested with kobold fiends. A terrible realization comes upon me. I realize that I am on layer 4. And as you know, my friends, this has been a serious issue in the past. So how am I going to complete this quest? As I'm pondering what to do next, a human warlock begins attacking these kobold fiends. I take my opportunity to reveal my presence, greeting them. I ask if they are venturing into the mine. Remember, friends, in the last episode, I really struggled to get anyone to invite me. It became such an issue that I ended up abandoning Dunmorrow with incomplete quests, and as I tell them that I am here on behalf of the Holy Light, they reveal that they are a minion of the Void. As you know, my friends, the shadow and darkness is the archenemy of the Holy Light. However, my friends, this warlock does take kindly to my role-playing, and fortunately, they reciprocate, and they invite me to their group. There is actually hope that we may be able to complete these 2 quests. Now, rather than drinking ice-cold milk like the rest of us, this warlock insisted on using their life tap ability. At least it gave me something to do. I was dismayed to find that I was also expected to not only heal them, but heal their demon as well. This little demon was extremely weak, and it would constantly take a lot of damage. Now, my friends, I'm not fond of demons at all. However, this warlock is coming to my aid, and after the last episode, where we struggled as much as we did, I'm going to have to make some compromises. The warlock and her imp minion do battle, and I do my duty in keeping them alive. Now, my friends, let us just hope that we are able to collect all of our tunnel rat ears before the warlock has gathered theirs. Otherwise, there's a risk that I would have an incomplete quest. I also take the opportunity wherever I can to gather the miner's gear from the crate left behind in the Silverstream mine. And I am not only successful in collecting all the crates of miner's gear, but I am also able to collect the ears from these kobold fiends. I have both my quests complete. However, it appears the warlock has not collected all of their kobold ears. Now, my friends, I could part ways. However, as the warlock does battle with these kobolds, I do actually gain some experience points. And so I plan to stick around with this warlock as long as possible, even if all I am accomplishing is leeching the experience from their kills. A paladin is so kind as to bless us, and I use this opportunity to teach the warlock a lesson. However, the warlock believes that the paladin just wanted a buff, which is potentially true, as I did bless them with the light as well, but I believe the warlock is just coping and seething, as they say. And remember, my disciples, the light equals right every time. We do battle with many kobold fiends, at one point getting in a spot of trouble. We just about make it out alive, and I even come across my first ever mage royal. Finally, the warlock has collected all of their tunnel rat ears, and begins hunting the various beasts of the land. including the boars, the spiders, and the bears as well. I believe they are collecting reagents for the Thalsamar blood sausage quest. Now, my friends, as you know, we were able to complete this quest in a previous episode without any violence. We simply bought the reagents off the auction house. And so, when I find these reagents, I happily give them to the warlock, only to discover that it appears the warlock is using these reagents not for Thalsamar blood sausages, but for an evil ritual. I can't say I'm pleased, but I am gaining experience points following them around. So I'll stick by their side as long as I'm able. Finally, the warlock leads us back to the Algaz station, and I'm able to return the miner's gear to Mountaineer Stormpike. A great success, my friends, for I am now level 14. As a reward, I am given a brand new robe that is far more priestly for my attire. Finally, my friends, we return to the quaint town of Thalsamar, and as the warlock pauses to vendor, I take the opportunity to do the same. And what do you know, my friends? It turns out that this silly warlock was indeed having me on. They weren't using these reagents for an evil ritual, which is indeed very stereotypical of warlocks. It was for the Thalsamar blood sausage quest. And so I've decided to forgive the warlock for the time being. I remind them that despite their wicked ways, we do actually make quite a good team. And the warlock appears to agree. However, my friends, I can't help but worry that they are possibly trying to convert me to the darkness. We venture into the Valley of Kings, where Mountaineer Cobbleflint, a great name by the way, gives us a quest to hunt down some trugs in the hills. And what do you know? Captain Rugelfuss inside the watchtower even gives us a quest to collect the teeth from these trugs. Now it's a win-win, my friends. I can do those quests at the same time. The warlock and I venture into the Stone Splinter Valley. We do battle with many trugs. However, unfortunately, I've only received a single tooth by the time the kill quest has been completed. And so, with a little bit of dismay, I do return with the warlock. My turn in the trug hunting quest, and I'm given 900 experience points. However, my friends, to my delight, it appears the warlock intends on doing the follow-on quest. We venture back into Stone Splinter Valley, and this follow-on quest involves hunting the Skull Thumpers and the Trug Seers as well. These trugs are slightly more dangerous. They even use their lightning magic against us, but obviously their primitive magic is no match for the power of the light. And despite some dangerous situations, thanks to the holy light, we do come out ahead. And I was sure to remind the warlock that it was the light that saved us, not their demonic ways. After the warlock has culled the trugs from these hills, and I have collected all of my stone trug teeth, the warlock surprises me with a friendly gesture. She goes so far as to ask me if I've collected all my trug teeth. Perhaps we should not judge a book by its cover. This entire time I was sure this warlock was a devilish fiend, but perhaps they aren't so bad after all. Or, more likely, they are simply tricking me with their evil ways. Yes, I do believe that is more likely to be what is happening. But you know what they say, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. We return to the Valley of Kings, and I'm able to gain 1050 experience points from the follow-on trug hunting quest. I even take the opportunity to pick up yet another follow-on quest. However, this time it would involve hunting the most powerful of the trugs, the Stone Splinter Shamans, and the Bone Snappers of all things. What a terrifying name. In the top of the tower, I take this opportunity to turn in the trug teeth to Captain Rugelfuss for 900 experience points. However, as I make my way down the stairs, the warlock reveals that they intend to go to the city of Ironforge to train their new spells. This is most unfortunate, and I worry that if we leave the questing area, they might decide that, well, they've had enough, and anything that breaks the flow of questing could risk in our group falling apart. However, I do follow them back to Ironforge City, for I am also level 14, and I'm sure there are new holy spells that I may be able to learn. We land in Ironforge, and I follow the warlock to the Mystic Ward. Despite saving this warlock multiple times, they now decide that this is an opportunity to drop me entirely. They even ask me not to follow them, and as I watch her run towards the dark caverns deep within Ironforge, I decide that that is probably for the best. Though this warlock was indeed helpful, we simply cannot coexist. And so I make my way to the Hall of Mysteries, and my friends, I am able to upgrade my Renew. I must be honest, this is probably my favorite healing spell. and so this is quite exciting for a priest like me. I even learned the ability to cure diseases. This will surely come in handy in the future. And as I look at the other spells, I realize I probably can't use them. However, my friends, there is one spell here that you might be quite surprised that I'm going to learn, and that would be the Psychic Scream. In a previous episode, it was you, my disciples, who gave me permission to use any spell, provided it does not cause a single point of damage. I am sure there will be situations in the future where I survive my enemies because I am able to scare them away. Remember, my friends, the Holy Commandment says that I cannot harm any creature. The Holy Commandment doesn't say anything about scaring them away, and would you look at that, we've gone from around halfway through level 13 to just over 4 bars away from level 15, and I've decided to splash out some cash as a reward, using my relatively large sums of coin to purchase upgrades directly from the auction house, complete with attributes like Spirit and Intellect, which will make me an even more effective healer. And oh boy, my friends, do I look good. Wouldn't you agree? Comment below if you think I look pretty snazzy. If you want to aid me in my holy mission of reaching level 60 while following these holy commandments, I would ask that you do one thing in return. If you can subscribe to this channel, I would be most appreciative. And so, my friends, always remember, light be with you.